Greetings, fellow gamers, and welcome to the Silent Majority Gamers podcast. This is episode number 6. I'm Limey Geek.
And I'm Insomniac Matt.
And this week we are going to talk about the big new upcoming games for this fall. This time of year is when all the big releases come out. There's tons of stuff coming. But with just the volume of games that are out there, we thought we'd go through some of the biggest ones or some of the ones that are most interesting to us and talk about them and let you know what's coming up.
It's Gamer Christmas for the next 3 months.
It is, although people usually say E3 is like Gamer Christmas. So that's why I didn't. I was like,
really?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I can't buy stuff at E3.
True. You just get all excited because all the new stuff is announced.
Yeah, but
right?
I'm still not opening anything.
Yes, this is sort of Gamer Christmas.
I'm taking it back.
Okay.
Gamer Christmas is the fall.
All right.
Period.
Sounds good to me.
All right, cool.
Starting with...
Well, so I do know that there's several racers coming out. Forza Motorsport 7 is actually out for those who pre-ordered it. I got a bit of an early access on that. And Gran Turismo Sport. But what really caught my eye was the new Need for Speed. So with the new Need for Speed, it is on its way and it is looking really, really cool. First of all, kind of a standard that it's been in the last couple of times is this open world racer now. But what I really liked is there's a new feature, this derelict feature, where basically you're going around the open world and picking up parts to these old cars that you'll eventually end up souping up. So you pick up the chassis and you go from like this broken down, not working car to stock to super racer. So it's, you're kind of chasing these parts down throughout the world and creating a new car that you're going to use eventually for all the races and stuff like that. So I really like that idea. I think that's very cool. You're not just, going to buy the next car. You're actually working towards something and pick up your bits and pieces on the way. So I thought that was really cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Need for Speed has always been a great series. I mean, probably one of my favorites going back to
the 3DO.
The 3DO version Need for Speed was just incredible.
Cool.
That was a lot of fun.
Wow.
And but yeah, they took last year off, right? There wasn't one last year.
Right.
It was 2 years ago. So this is Need for Speed Payback is the name of this one. It releases November 10th.
Right.
And like you said, yeah, the open world stuff. I guess that's being added to a lot of racing games now.
Yeah.
Although the other game you mentioned, Forza Motorsport 7, is more sort of traditional track racer.
Yeah.
And that's looking pretty good too. But yeah, Need for Speed.
Well, it's got this it's got kind of this movie feel to it now, right? From the gameplay that we saw,
right?
It's like cutting between cutscene and gameplay, and during that you're switching characters, or you're switching cars. A lot of people likened it to the Fast and Furious movies, right?
Yeah, it looked very much like that.
Right. So yeah, I mean, it looks like a lot of fun. But I have to say, my favorite part about the whole thing is the old school Burnout feel of the takedowns. Where you're jamming into cars and they're spinning out and the camera kind of pans over like a slow-mo movie action. It looks so cool. I really, it's going to get me back into the series. I've skipped the last few. I've played them, but I haven't purchased them. So I'm looking forward to this one. From what I saw, it looks gorgeous. Just gorgeous. And it looks like a lot of fun to play. And again, with the takedowns, all the burnouts, sold. Done. Love it. So that's Need for Speed for me.
So next up we have Middle-earth: Shadow of War. That comes out October 10th, which is only a couple of weeks from now. And this is a sequel to Shadow of Mordor, which was 2000... yeah, we'll fill that in later. Yeah. It was a few years back, which I absolutely loved.
Yes.
And I am not a big Tolkien fan and Lord of the Rings fan. In fact, when Shadow of Mordor first came out, I kind of skipped it. I wasn't that interested in it because that world was just didn't interest me that much. But after it got such good reviews and people were talking about it so much with the Nemesis system, I went ahead and picked it up and just loved it totally. You don't need to be a fan of Lord of the Rings or know the lore or the stories at all to play the game, and it's just a cool action game. Of course, the combat is very similar to the Batman games, which is really cool. But the big thing, of course, is the Nemesis system, where as you play through and you fight these different orcs, if they defeat you, they can get promoted and move up the ranks, and then you can defeat them, and you can end up having a sort of a nemesis that will track you down over time, and maybe a guy you've tried to kill several times and you can't quite get him, or even sometimes you would kill your nemesis and they would come back again later on in the game, show up again at usually an opportune moment, or when you're fighting somebody else, this other guy would show up and he's like,
scarred
didn't I kill you already?
Bruised and broken. And
so there were a lot of sort of stories that were generated from that. And so Shadow of War, they've taken that whole nemesis system and really invested in it very heavily even more, and sort of ratcheted it right up. So there's even more to it now, and different ways that you can recruit people and different outcomes that can happen. You can call in orcs as bodyguards when you go on missions. You can send them to infiltrate war chiefs as a spy. And then there's this whole fortress mechanic as well, where you can infiltrate and you build up your army, and then eventually you attack the fortress in order to take over the territory. And that's a whole like a mini boss battle thing where you have to go through the fortress and capture points, and then finally fight the chief of the of the fortress and defeat him in battle in order to win the thing. And then you can install one of your orcs from your army as a new head. So I'm just amazed by the amount of stuff they've put into this game. Yeah. So much more content than the first one. And I played the first one through like 2 or 3 times. I enjoyed it so much, which is very rare for me. I don't play a game more than once.
Yeah, I ended up getting the Game of the Year edition on Xbox One X. Or Xbox One X. I ended up getting the Game of the Year edition on Xbox One.
Yeah.
And it was like on sale for like $20. And played. That was my 3rd time through it. And to comment on the Nemesis system, I think it's genius. And the way that it was explained when I saw it, I just think it's just such a great idea. How many games you play where you're going through a mission or what have you, and you die, and you start that mission again, right? And then you go through it, and you meet bad guys again, and they have the same dialogue. It's like, oh, who's this guy, right? But whereas in the Lord of the Rings series here, if you die during a mission, no one actually, it's not a rewind. It's putting you back to where you were, and then you meet the guy, and he's like, "Didn't I just kill you?" And I think that's genius. I really do. No other game does that. Other game does that. I think it's brilliant.
Yeah, it's it really adds something different because the game is designed for you to die.
Yes. Oh yeah.
Like the whole mechanic is because you're, I know it's possessed by this elf or what you call it, but you're joined together, and so you gain this ability where you can't die. So you die, but you resurrect again. And the characters in the world and the other orcs remember you. Yeah. And you're trying to come back and kill them again. Yeah. So that's really cool. I've been watching a lot of the preview coverage and videos for that in the last week. It's only a couple more weeks to release, and I'm getting really, really excited for it. This is one that I'm really looking forward to big time. Especially, it's going to be one of the ones that is enhanced for Xbox One X for 4K gameplay. So, I mean, it's going to look just gorgeous.
I mean, they say the best version of the game is going to be on Xbox One X. So, I mean, we'll see, right? I mean, the
problem is the game comes out like a month before the Xbox One X. And I've been toying with the idea, do I hold off playing it until I can play it in all its 4K glory? I don't think I'm going to be able to wait and have it sit on my shelf for a month without playing it. Because, like you said, I think the game's going to be just too good to wait.
So the next one I wanted to talk about was the new South Park game coming out. The Fractured But Whole.
October 17th.
October 17th, on its way. So now, apparently I just found out that it actually ties into the Stick of Truth, which is the first one that they put out. No one's exactly entirely sure how, but I mean, there is some backstory to that. But basically, from the Stick of Truth, it was just the kids playing, a Lord of the Rings type game where they're all dressed up in fantasy garb, right? You have an elf and a mage and things like that. And they changed the game to superheroes in this one. So you get yourself a superhero background, create your backstory, and go from there. South Park, for those who haven't played it, Stick of Truth, and this game coming up, probably the crudest game I've ever played in my entire life. Like, talk about pushing the envelope with content, not necessarily just jokes, but the actual content in the games is just unbelievable. It plays like you're watching a 12, 15, 20 hour episode of South Park. Wow. I mean, not for the kids, like I'm like, it kind of almost made me embarrassed when I was playing it, and I'm brutal. I don't care about that stuff. But what I do like about the new one is that they have definitely improved upon some of the minor complaints, because it got fantastic reviews, the first one. But they have improved on some of the things that people were a little concerned about, mainly the combat and the class system. So with the class system, you had 3 classes before. I think it was 4 if you pre-ordered. And it kind of didn't matter what class you were towards the middle of the game. And towards end game, I mean, one move would wipe out the entire screen, basically. So while it had great RPG mechanics, there was just something a little lacking there. Again, towards the end game, where there was no grind to it. There was no strategy to what you're gonna, what powers to use and things like that. So
you just became too overpowered.
Yeah, way too OP. Cartman's ass was just way too overpowered towards the end game. I'm just being honest. I mean, it's I've read that this is a longer story, a bigger story. But what I really like, as I was saying, with the combat and the class system, you can actually unlock dual class a little further into the game. So when you first start out, I think you have 3 classes unlocked at the beginning. There's a blaster class. Let's see, I got some notes here for me. A brutalist and a speedster. So a brutalist like Hulk. Incredible Hulk or something like that. A blaster class, almost like an Iron Man, is like ranged, right? Okay. And then you have, like I said, a speedster, so like the Flash or something like that. But you get more unlocked as you go, and I wrote down some things like a gadgeteer, a cyborg, assassin, and a karate kid, and there's a whole bunch of others as well. But I'm really looking forward to it. And for those who have kids out there, do not play it when your kids are awake or around. I'm going to have to make sure I play that at midnight with headphones so I don't, upset the entire neighborhood, because it's going to be ridiculous fun, in my opinion.
Cool. So October 27th this year is a big day. There's a number of game releases all coming out on the same day. And the first one we wanted to talk about is Assassin's Creed Origins.
Yes.
So the latest in the Assassin's Creed franchise. We did talk about this game a few weeks ago on the podcast with some of the footage that was released by IGN. But this is looking to be a great game, looking fantastic. It is going back to the origins of the Assassins movement. It's in Egypt. And they've really taken, I think that the team took 3 years to work on this one. This is the team that worked on Assassin's Creed Black Flag previously.
Which is Assassin's
my favorite
Creed game they've put out.
Yeah. So that same team now has moved on to this, and really looking forward to this one too. It's they've greatly expanded the world and the activities that you can do. I mean, all the kinds of things you talk about with these kinds of open world type games. They've gone and added just a ton of content and mission types, and graphically looks beautiful as well. This is another one that's going to be enhanced for 4K and is going to look absolutely fantastic on my new Xbox One X.
Jerk. I do like that they've overhauled so many things on it, such as the combat, which is more free-form, free-flowing combat. And again, I can't say this enough. I've said it several times. You give me damage numbers and loot, and I am in. And it looks so cool. I'm really liking the look of this. Yeah,
they've really added a lot of those kind of RPG mechanics with the loot and the various different stats on the gear and stuff that you can get and leveling up. So yeah, it's gonna scratch that same itch.
Yeah.
As well as just being a cool Assassin's Creed story.
Yeah, no kidding, right? Yeah. So the next one I'm really excited for is WWE 2K18, which is October 17th.
Yes, it is. Yep.
So being a wrestling fan, I do like these games. And I am looking forward to this one. Again, it seems to be the year where they're overhauling mechanics. So many games are doing this year. I've noticed in previous years when they put out a new rotation, there's just like small, minor updates. But this one is looking really cool. First of all, 187 playable characters. That's ridiculous.
Well, that's
ridiculous. Right, so you have every current star. You have the NXT roster, you have the Cruiserweights, and then you have a ton of legends. Guys like Ultimate Warrior, Randy Savage, Eddie Guerrero. You can even play as Vince McMahon in this one, which should be a lot of fun. So they have brought back the free roaming backstage, which they took out in the last one. And as well, they have 2 career paths that you can take. One is the company man, and one is the fan favorite. So company man, you go through the game, and you're basically just trying to please the GMs, or the CEO, the Vince, or the Shane McMahon, or Kurt Angle, who's the GM on Raw right now. And you're basically going through and trying to please them, and that's going to include things like interrupting other wrestlers' entrances or their promos to get ahead and be given title shots and things like that. And then you have fan favorite, and that's done with trying to win over your fellow wrestlers, superstars, and things like that by putting on 5-star matches and doing really good promos, so you can pick what you say in your promos and things like that. So once you get those sort of 5-star stuff, you move up, and both of those will accumulate in a match in WrestleMania. So that, but they have stressed that that's not the end of your career. Yes, everything kind of points towards that, but once you get there, you can continue on your career. So it's not like it's game over or anything like that. And as always, they have all their other modes that they usually have in there, sort of the GM mode and all the different match types, cage and ladder and TLC and all this fun stuff. What I'm looking forward to is that they've added over 80 new animations for taking a bump, taking a hit. So a bunch of new animations, and one of the other features I really like is that they've kind of switched up the AI a bit to create space while you're in a multi-man match. So before, you would have fatal 4-way, and there's no way you're pinning anybody for the first 10 minutes of that match. You've got to beat somebody senseless, throw them out the ring, and then try and make a pin, and hopefully the guy doesn't come back in and make the save. But in this one, they've done it where they've created a little bit more space, gives you more chance to pull off moves. Because if you've ever watched the product, usually if it's a fatal 4-way or a triple threat, it just magically happens that it ends up with 2 people in the ring and the other 2 doing something else. Right. So they try to recreate that, which I really like. I really enjoy the fact that they're trying to make it more like the product you see. So you're playing an episode of Raw, you're playing an episode of SmackDown. Some of the other enhancements include obviously some better graphics, and they're really bragging about this new lighting technique that they're doing now as well. To differentiate between the superstars, the wrestlers, and their entrances and things like that. So yeah, again, something I'm really looking forward to. So let me tell you, tighten your belt and don't count out WWE 2K18. Try and pin this one down this fall. Hoping it matches my expectations. This should be a phenomenal one, and that's the bottom line. Ooh, yeah! Woo! Too many? One too many? Sorry, I don't want you to have to wrestle with the editing of this video too much. You go ahead.
Next up, we have the second of the October 27th games on our list, and that is Super Mario Odyssey for Nintendo Switch, which at least has one game on our list here. But don't count Nintendo out, especially when they're going to put out games like Mario Odyssey
right
here. So this game is sort of a throwback to the Super Mario 64 days, which I've got to admit, Super Mario 64 is probably my top video game ever.
Oh, it's I don't know if I could ever pick that, but it's in my top 5 or top 10 or top anything.
Yeah.
Anytime I choose. Yeah.
Just
phenomenal
because
game.
It was the first game to do that full 3D free roam world, and for its time, you couldn't beat it.
No,
you couldn't beat it. And they've done some other 3D games since then. They've done the Sunshine series and some other ones, but nothing that really captured that same feel. And it looks like Super Mario Odyssey is going to recapture that feel from those Super Mario 64 days, which I'm really excited about. Of course, it's not the same game at all. They've added a whole bunch more stuff to it. The big mechanic, of course, being the hat mechanic, where Mario can use that to capture and take control of enemies.
It looks so good.
Looks really cool.
Looks really funny.
And also you can use it. There's a like a jumping mechanic, right? That you can use it as well. So they've added some stuff there, and then there's a hub world, which is basically sort of based on real life.
One of the levels is like a weird looking New York City.
Yeah. So I can't wait for this one. I think it's gonna be really cool. Definitely a family title, and if you haven't played the original Super Mario 64, then why not? But this game, Mario Odyssey, looks like it's going to be just phenomenal.
Yeah, I'm loving the look of the different worlds. All have their own feel and their own look to it. And I really love the fact that there's some places where you go back into like the 8-bit world where it's 2D.
Yeah.
You go down a pipe and all of a sudden you're 2D. It looks so cool. And I really like the, as you're saying, like another throwback to the Mario 64, where you had to figure out how to get the stars. In that one, it was stars. And you really had to think, like, because you go into the same world several times, and there's different ways to get the stars, and some of them were hidden, some of them you had to do certain things before it would show or reveal where the star was, and it's very similar in this one as well. So I think the exploration is going to be a ton of fun, and like you're saying, with the added mechanic of the hat, taking over other enemies. I mean, you take over a giant fish, or a Koopa. I mean, that's just gold. I cannot wait. If there wasn't so much coming out for fall, I mean, I need to find out a way to get a Switch so I can get this. This is a system seller for me.
Yeah, I agree. It's gonna be awesome. Nintendo now knows how to take advantage of the different mechanics that they put into their games, and they really then dial that up and design the levels around it, and you end up with some very cool level design, which Nintendo excels at.
Yes.
So, this is going to be a good one.
So up next is going to be Call of Duty World War II, which is launching, November 3rd?
Yep.
And, if you haven't looked at our previous podcast, you'll see, that we have had several conversations on Call of Duty before. Always a great title. We pick it up almost every year because we do a lot of co-op playing, right? So, and this one is, we had a lot of fun with the beta. So definitely one to keep your eye. I mean, if you're a Call of Duty fan, definitely the one to go with, in my opinion, because we preferred the older Call of Duties. Modern Warfare, one of the original ones that came out for online, was still my favorite. The remaster is the best thing Call of Duty had put out in years, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. And this one is very similar. So it's, what they keep saying, boost the ground. There's no jetpacks. There's no running on walls or ceilings or anything like that. It's straight up World War II shooter. Look for that one November 3rd. Yeah,
it should be a good title this year. Certainly, the franchise has stumbled, I think, in recent years. So this is getting back to the heart of Call of Duty. And we did an entire podcast talking about our impressions of the beta, and so we went into a lot of detail there on it. And overall, it looks like it's going to be a really good game this year.
Agreed.
And the third of our October 27th games is Wolfenstein II: The New Colossus.
Yes.
This is obviously a sequel to the Wolfenstein they put out a couple of years ago, which was kind of a rebirth or reimagining of the series, and was sort of a surprise hit.
Yeah.
Relatively uncommon these days for a single player focused first person shooter.
True.
Right?
True.
But they nailed it with the story and the gameplay, the gunplay. I mean, Wolfenstein's all about fast action and shooting stuff, and they nailed it with that, and so we get Wolfenstein 2 coming out this year, and this is looking like it's going to be another great entry in the series. Yeah,
from what I've seen, the graphics, wow. Really sharp looking, really crisp looking, and they've released small bits of gameplay and several cutscenes that, I don't know if you saw the Bethesda reveal trailer a few months ago. It was just ridiculous, but it looks like a lot of fun. It's one I'm going to pick up eventually. Again, with everything coming out in the next few months, I don't think I'm going to get time or to sink my teeth into it just yet. But it's definitely one I want to pick up eventually. Probably once things start to die down. It looks really cool, and you know what? Running around with ridiculously overpowered large guns that make a lot of noise and a lot of mess while you're shooting Nazis is all right with me.
Yeah, I agree. It's probably not one that's on the top of my list to pick up for this fall. There's just too much. Nothing against the game at all. It looks great. We just have to pick which ones we're going to go with. But yeah, I'll probably try and pick it up later. I never played through Wolfenstein 1, so I'd like to do both. I'm sure they'll have
it's really good.
I'm sure they'll have a pack at some point with both of them, and if it's on sale for discounted to get both, I'll probably do that because I'd like to play through both of them.
Yeah,
get
check Steam.
That narrative experience.
Check Steam. Yeah. I think they'll probably have something on PC.
All right, we are on the home stretch here. Coming down to our last few games, a couple of quicker ones. November 17th, there's two games coming out. One kind of big one, the other one being Lego Marvel Superheroes 2. Mm-hmm. And the reason I mention this one is just because my family and I have always really enjoyed the Lego games, especially the Lego Star Wars series. But even Batman and Lego Pirates of the Caribbean, right. They've done a ton of them. They're always excellent, and of course, with the popularity of the Marvel superhero movies right now, the first game was pretty good. This one looks like they're just gonna again just make it even better. Really looking forward to being able to go back into the Lego world with all the different Marvel superhero characters, and great game for playing couch co-op and playing with the family. Really and good
genuinely very funny. Every Lego game that they've brought out, the writing is just genuinely funny. Like if you don't laugh while you're playing that, you have no soul.
Yeah, they do a great job with those games. So highly recommended for a family game to pick up. Yeah. And then also on November 17th, we have Star Wars Battlefront 2.
Yeah.
The long awaited, highly anticipated sequel to Battlefront 1. Of course, Star Wars Battlefront, I think wasn't as successful as EA was hoping for.
Yeah.
They really went after the casual player with that game, trying to draw in a big audience for the Star Wars franchise, and it did. But I think the issue was that a lot of more hardcore gamers felt there wasn't enough content there and wasn't enough meat on that, not enough modes. And so they tried to address all that with Battlefront 2. The big thing, of course, they're including this time is a single-player campaign.
Yes.
Which looks really interesting.
Yeah.
And I'm tempted to pick up the game solely
just for that.
For the campaign. You actually play from the side of the Empire. You play a Special Forces agent from the Empire. So that's just really interesting to sort of play the story from that side, because we've not really done that before. So it's going to be very interesting to see how they pull that off. Really looking forward to that. Graphically, the game is fantastic. I mean, the first Battlefront looked almost like the movies as it was. So this one is going to be even better. But even on the multiplayer side, they've added a bunch of new modes. They've switched up the characters so that it's more of a class-based system.
Right.
And way more vehicles, way more planets and levels. You have space battles now as well. So this really is shaping up to be a great game with just a ton of content in it.
Yeah.
And looking forward to seeing how this one turns out.
That'll be a good one for us for co-op as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
For the multiplayer.
Yep. Yep.
And last but certainly not least, the most exciting thing to be coming out this year, in my opinion, it's not even a game, but it's the Xbox One X console. Holy crap, I'm excited and I want it now.
Yep. I mean, what else is there to say?
Right.
The console releases on November 7th. I don't know why you're so excited. I don't think you're going to be able to get one right away, are you?
Well, I'm getting one the next month. I'll be getting one in December.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, I have my pre-order in.
I can be excited if I want, damn it!
I have my pre-order in for the Scorpio edition, special edition. Yep. So hopefully that arrives on release date. I'm planning to take the day off work and check that out. So
should you be saying that publicly?
My boss won't see this.
Okay, cool.
At least I hope not. So I can take the day off. I can schedule a vacation day. It's all good. It's all good. Xbox One X, the first true 4K gaming console. Although there is the
PS4
Pro, which does 4K as well. But we know Xbox is going to be ramping up that graphics power and that capability. Yeah. And you're going to see some very, very pretty games on that console. Really looking forward to it. I have a 4K TV. I just got one in the summer. And so I'm all ready to go that way for the upgrade. And I'm a sucker for pretty graphics.
Yeah,
I really am.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm really looking forward to a bunch of the games we've mentioned are going to have 4K versions or enhanced for 4K stuff. And so I'm really, really looking forward to that. Yeah, the Xbox One X is, for me, the big release this fall. I mean, you don't get a new console every year, right? A new console is always a special time. It's always exciting. And so this is kind of cool because we're getting a new Xbox probably a little sooner than you would have thought. Yeah. Because it's kind of a mid-cycle refresh or upgrade as opposed to a brand new console.
Well, it's what they kind of did with the PS4 Pro.
Yeah, very very similar idea. Of course, it's going to play all your old games, work with all your existing accessories and peripherals. So just a great looking console. I want it now.
I know,
right? I want it now.
and I really like the fact that even if you don't have a 4K TV, you have a 1080p TV, you'll still be able to take advantage of the power, updated textures and lighting, and they'll be downscaling it, right, from 4K or 2K down to a 1080, using some special effects. So even, playing it on an Xbox One versus Xbox One X on a 1080 screen, you're still going to notice the difference on the Xbox One X. My 4K TV is going to come early next year, birthday presents, that I will buy for myself.
Is that a hint? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was going to say.
I'll ask my wife to buy it for me with my money.
Right.
So, you'll still be able to see the difference on a 1080 screen, which, again, I'm really looking forward to it. We just went through a list of these games that, are multi-platform, but you'll see things like Assassin's Creed and, the Lord of the Rings stuff is enhanced specifically for the Xbox One X, and it is going to look beautiful.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yep, for sure. Now, let's say if you have a PS4 Pro, those games are going to have enhanced textures and resolution on the PS4 as well. I'm sure it'll look great, but
it's not native 4K though, right?
So I'm really really looking forward to it. And can it be November 7th now, please? Can we just skip to release day?
Go for a nap and
please. Yeah,
wake me November 7th.
That'll be good. So that's it for games this week for the for the big fall releases. There's one news item I wanted to mention this week. This is something that's been going on for a little while. We talked earlier about Shadow of War, and they had put out a piece of DLC that they were pre-selling. This is let me get this right: Forthog Orc Slayer.
Yes. And
this DLC was created by the studio as sort of a memorial to a developer, Michael. I'm not sure the pronunciation of the last name, Forgy, probably Forgy. Michael Forgy was a developer on Shadow of War, and he tragically passed away from cancer. And so some of the developers at the studio created this DLC to memorialize him with this character. So they wanted to do something to raise some money for Michael's family. Mm-hmm. In this difficult time. And so the original plan was to sell this DLC, and they said that they would give away a portion of the profits to Michael's family for him. Now, unfortunately, what happened is some people noticed that there was some fine print on that offer, stating that the charity donation would only apply to purchases in certain states and only in the US and not internationally. And of course, this prompted people to question what's the deal here. And in typical internet fashion, people jumped to the conclusion that WB Games was trying to hide something from the community here, was trying to pull a fast one, was trying to get people to buy this thing and not really donate the money, and there was some conspiracy here, and this was just proof that all developers and publishers are just trying to milk us for as much money as possible. So this went on for a little bit, and there was even a response on Twitter from either from the developer or from WB Games saying something to the effect of, "Oh yeah, we're not donating any money from anything other than in these states." So just added fuel to the fire. So anyway, eventually this week WB Games put out a statement, and they sort of changed course a little bit, and they are now going to be giving away the DLC for free to everybody, and anyone that pre-purchased it will get a refund. What they explained is they were trying to do the right thing and to raise some money for Michael's family, but I guess there are laws in different countries and different jurisdictions about advertising that kind of a charitable donation promotion, because as you can tell, that would be very easy to exploit.
Yes.
You could very easily say you're giving money to charity and then just not do it, right? So it seems like some countries and some states, you either can't advertise that, or there's probably some red tape or other stuff you have to go through in order to run that kind of promotion. So that's why the fine print said we're only doing it from these states and not internationally, because they couldn't say anything else. Right. If they said they were doing something else, they could be in violation of the law, right? So they realized maybe this wasn't the best way to do it. So it was unfortunate it kind of went on this long, but props to the developer and to WB Games for doing the right thing here. They're going to give away the DLC for free, refund for anyone that pre-purchased, and instead they are just going to make a donation directly to Michael's family on behalf of the developer and the studio.
It's not like they don't have the money.
Well, they didn't have to do this, but it was a nice.
No, they had every good intention in the world with selling it. And I totally understood the intent of selling the DLC and then donating that because it comes from the gamers, and it kind of means more when it comes to that. But yeah, I mean they get chastised for it, and the backlash was ridiculous. So I think they've done the right thing by giving it out for free, making a donation. I fully, wholeheartedly support that. Yeah,
there's a page where you can go and you can donate, and I would encourage anyone that is able to do that to go ahead and make a donation, seeing as the money that was going to be brought in from the DLC is now not going to be there. And I'll put the link to that in the show notes. And just to let you know, not trying to brag or anything, but a donation has been made on behalf of Silent Majority Gamers to Michael's family. So. Well, that's it for us for this week, but please do send us your feedback. Please leave a message on this video, either a comment with your questions or your comments. Let us know what you want to see. If you ask questions and stuff, we'll try and answer those or address them on a future episode. Either comment on this video. You can also reach out to us on Twitter @SilentMGamers. We want to hear from you, our community, and have you tell us the kind of stuff that you'd like to see us do.
So don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel, and we will see you guys soon. It is a great time to be a gamer, in a time that I personally call Gamers Christmas. The next 3 months, something for everybody is coming out. So until next time, folks, thanks for watching. Bye. We'll see you again.